The legal definition is that a manager advises and consults with the artist on the selection of material, the proper presentation of their art to the public, what clothes to wear, you know, should you be wearing a hat on stage? I mean, crazy little things like that. But when it comes to the procurement of employment, that's left for talent agents. The only exception to the statute in the state of California is that personal managers have now been carved out with the ability to negotiate recording contracts for talent. They can't book engagements, but they can procure recording contracts. And I think it was really a product of some heavy legislation and lobbying when the Talent Agents Act was passed, because there were a few managers in the record business that had convinced the legislature and the talent agents that they were doing something that the talent agents had really no interest in doing. And so the California legislature carved out an exception and said, you know, there's this one little area that talent agents don't really care about, so let's just give it to the managers. And so managers can now procure recording contracts. But there have been examples of managers who have let other people negotiate and procure employment, and then the artist will come to them. I can think of, I believe it was the Anita Baker case, where she was offered a sponsorship deal with Coca-Cola, and she said to her manager, you know, I don't really want my agency to get involved in this negotiation. Why don't you just handle it for me? I'd feel much more comfortable if you did the negotiation. And there was a dispute after the deal was concluded between the artist and the manager, and the artist ended up using that negotiation as a way to terminate the management contract. And the court determined that the negotiation of a sponsorship deal was procurement of employment, and the labor commissioner's office voided the contract. So it can be situations that you'd least expect, that you would think, well, I'm not really, you know, negotiating employment. You know, is the use of someone's name and likeness an employment contract? So there's areas where I think managers can sometimes get caught in the gray areas and ultimately have their relationship terminated by the courts because it's not an obvious procurement of employment. But nonetheless, the Labor Commissioner's Office has traditionally always been very pro-artist. And they will usually extend this restriction to many, many different areas to void a contract to protect the artist's rights. The best way to learn how to be a good manager is to work with a good manager. And I think that, you know, the opportunity presents itself in different ways. For example, good talent agents. How do most talent agents start in the business? Start in the mailroom. And they first start delivering packages so they could learn where all the studios and record companies and publishing companies are. And then they get promoted to a desk where they become a junior agent and they answer phones and they will eavesdrop on telephone conversations and learn and observe the people that they're working for until they get to a place where the agency says, you now are sophisticated enough in the process to be able to have a full desk, and they get promoted to be an agent. And it could sometimes be a 3-4 year process. David Geffen started in the mailroom of a talent agency.